forecast for December 12th through the 16th, and this forecast is going to heavily focus on looks like what will be a high-impact winter weather event, maybe snow event. Certainly, it will at least have some snow for us Thursday night through Friday, actually into Saturday as well. A lot of details to work out. We're going to have a forecast for you just about every day this week because there's going to be a lot of changes and things like that to the forecast. So just wanted to get you up to speed on what's happening. Definitely going to be something you want to keep an eye on in terms of both travel issues and potentially, depending on exactly where snow falls, a chance for some heavy wet snow and some power issues, all sorts of things with this storm. So this is one to keep an eye on. So what's going on? What's setting the stage? First of all, for most of the week through Thursday, at least through Thursday morning, we're going to see a decent amount of sunshine. We'll have some clouds around. It'll be sort of partly sunny for a lot of the week. We'll have relatively typical temperatures for this time of year. Daytime highs right around freezing, either in the upper 20s or low 30s, depending on location, and then overnight lows for the most part this week in the teens, which is pretty typical for mid-December. But here's where everything is getting going. You see, this storm starts off. This is impressive stuff out west. Lots of even precipitation falling here across the desert southwest. So the storm that's already got lots of support. If we take a look at it on radar, you can see across Arizona a decent amount of precipitation falling here in places where precipitation doesn't often fall. As this emerges east of the Rockies, it's going to tap some Gulf moisture. It's going to wrap up and become a real strong storm as it heads towards the Great Lakes. And then what's going to happen is we're going to get secondary low development across the southeastern United States that's going to kind of slide up. And that secondary low development is going to help lock in some colder air for us. So even though the main part of the storm is going to go north and west of us, which would normally mean rain, this is not unusual. That transfer of energy is going to help keep us snow locked in. So we're going to look at some of the details as to how, or not necessarily all snow, but at least colder air locked in. So in terms of the storm track, here's what we're looking at. By midday today, the storm has kind of moved over and started to kind of emerge on the east side of the Rockies there in Colorado. And this is a slow mover. The whole system is very blocked up. We're going to talk a little bit about in a second about why that's happening. But the whole system, pattern is very blocked up to the north and east of us. That's why we ended up with the snow the way we did yesterday, where I get about 3 inches of snow. Hardly so much going on. I almost forgot to mention that. A lot of places 3 to 4 inches here across southern Vermont. So a little bit more than I was anticipating. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. Definitely looks wintry out there. All right. So by Tuesday, our storm is just crawling, and it takes till Wednesday and even Thursday. The storm is finally starting to die across the Great Lakes. It's not going to completely die, but it'll kind of get cut off from the main part of the energy that's generating the storm. It'll transfer energy basically down along its cold front to where the new area of low pressure will form here Thursday midday across the Carolinas, basically northeastern Georgia, Carolinas, and then it's going to head offshore. And the exact track, obviously, way too far out to get an exact track, but a general track here over New Jersey and then up into the Gulf of Maine. It's a pretty good snow track for us. Now, lots of caveats with this. First of all, way too early to tell exact track. Secondly, we do have cold air to our north. It's not Arctic air, so in terms of what that means, are we going to be able to hold in enough cold air to stay snow? We're going to have to see. Also, we're going to get a really strong, long-duration east flow across New England, which is why coastal areas will stay all rain, I would say, for this, or at least they will change over to rain. And what could happen is that the mountains could end up doing really well out of this. Some of the valley locations, maybe not quite as much. But again, too early to tell any of those kind of details. But precipitation could start as early as Friday morning, even maybe late Thursday night, so before daybreak on Friday. And it could continue till after dark on Saturday. Wouldn't be heavy the whole time, but it could be intermittently heavy. And definitely the chance for, there's a lot of moisture with the storm, so if it ends up all snow in some places, it's going to be a lot of snow, I think. But again, too early to really kind of tell those things. So here's the kind of general setup with the Synoptic, or with the upper levels here. And you can see we've got, basically, often we're looking for a Greenland block, which is like high pressure at the upper levels, which is what is indicated by the red colors here, across Greenland or just west of Greenland. In order to keep the flow from moving right along, it helps storms develop across the Northeast. That's there, and it's actually going to get reinforced. What's a little different with this is that we're kind of going to end up with actually a bubble of warmer air well to our north, not right north of us, and then cooler air is kind of sliding underneath it. So it's going to be marginally cold. This is not exactly a classic setup. The block is pretty classic, but in terms of the cold air, that's why in terms of precipitation type, as we actually head towards the storm, we're not locked in by any stretch of the imagination yet. So let's take a look also, just to give you an idea, this is vorticity, giving you an idea, there's lots of energy out west. This is and the fact that there's already a lot of energy, there's not a lot of like pieces that need to come together to make the storm happen. This is going to sort of be an evolving system. I think we're going to be able to lock in at least the big strokes of this storm even now. I think it would be very unlikely that we'd end up with kind of a dud of a storm. The only chance that happens is if it somehow skirted out to sea south of us, but that looks quite unlikely at this point. The storm is definitely going to happen. It's going to come together. It's going to happen, and likely we're going to see something. It's just a matter of, do we see mostly snow, all snow, big mix of snow and rain? Do we have a spot, some areas where we get stuck in some freezing rain? All of those kind of scenarios are still on the table, but I think it's going to be pretty high impact no matter what happens at this point. All right, so overall forecast, like I said, we're going to have a forecast each day, and we're going to iron out lots of the details as we go, but this kind of gets you set in for what's happening. Today we're in the upper 20s. It looks wintry out there with the new snow after starting off in the low 20s. Tomorrow we get to about the 30s. We start in the mid-teens. Wednesday's a little cooler. We get a little reinforcing shot of cooler air. We're in the mid-20s after starting off in the teens. Thursday a little bit warmer as our storm approaches us with a little bit of a southwesterly flow ahead of the storm before it starts to lock in some of that colder air. And you can see those temperatures are marginal, 33, 34 on average on Friday. Again, this could have some elevation effects in terms of how much snow we get. So let's take a look at those highlights as we're headed through. Dry week with cooler temperatures through Thursday. A high impact storm will affect the area Thursday night through Saturday. There's still uncertainty with regards to changeover potential. Snow would most likely be heavy and wet, so power outages are definitely a possibility. Already a little worried about that. And higher elevations will have the best chance of staying all snow. So yeah, lots of details to work out. I'll be back each morning with an updated look at your forecast. I'll probably do an evening live show at some point as we get a little bit closer, probably Thursday night, maybe even Wednesday night as well. I'll keep you up to date with that. The best way to make sure you don't miss any of that stuff is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you get notifications whenever I post a video. Also, if you're interested in making sure you don't want to have to deal with it, even getting those notifications, you just want to get it emailed to you. That's one of the things I offer to my patrons. So you can certainly take a look at some of the benefits of becoming a patron. So I would encourage you to do that as well. And with that in mind, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. They help support what I do here at the West River Weather Guy, and I really appreciate them. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning with an updated look. Tomorrow will be mostly just focused on the storm.